Leo Sanchamaniabo, Kechamalea, Inenen Chimampotawane Waluturia. Hi everyone. So welcome to my 3-part series where we'll be going over Waejma, which is also called Cuaresma or Lent, as well as Semana Santa or Holy Week. And then we'll have a separate video about Easter or Pascua on its own and how us Yaquis celebrate. Now, I do want to mention that all of what I will be sharing is things from the words of my elders, the experiences of both myself as well as friends of mine and others around the community. Now, in this video, I want to talk about Waejma and what it is, as well as Ash Wednesday, which is what starts Waejma off, and as well as our Friday Kontis and Palm Sunday. Now, I'm sharing this for our younger generation and for relatives who are reconnecting and trying to understand what happens and what the symbols mean and why people put so much work into these days. I also do want to be clear that I will not be showing any photos or videos of any of our ceremonies. I'm not trying to teach anyone how to do our ceremonies. I'm just describing what happens in a general way and how I've learned it and some of the meanings that people within our community have shared. Now, different pueblos and families do also do things differently, so please remember that this is all just one version, and it doesn't replace learning from your own elders and the maestros and other people within your community. So first, let's talk about Waejma. What is it? When talking about Waejma, we are talking about the whole time of Lent and Holy Week, not just one day or weekend. It is our way of walking with the passion and the death and the resurrection of Jesucristo or Jesus Christ. But it's also a very Yaqui way of doing that. We have the church and the sacraments, but we also have our chapayecas, the fariseos, the pascualas, the maso, the matachinis, and pretty much the whole cotumbre, which is our ceremonial organization. And for us, Waejma is not just watching a show. It is a manda or a vow, a promise and a lot of hard physical and spiritual work. And people who are under a manda or a vow march, dance, sing, and pretty much stay up all night and fast from certain things and obey a lot of rules. And the point of this is not to pretend that we are people from 2,000 years ago who are now currently in a Bible story. The point is to offer our bodies and our time and our sleep and our comfort as a prayer for the pueblo and for our families and everyone around the world. And Waejma begins on Ash Wednesday. So in Catholic terms, this is the start of Lent, which is the 40 days before Easter. So for us, it is the beginning of a long obligation. On Ash Wednesday, people go to get their ashes on their head, which is that dark cross on the forehead. And it is a reminder to us that we are made of dust, and from dust we shall return, and that while we are alive, we have to work for our souls. And from that day forward, the feeling throughout pretty much every pueblo changes. Purple and black cloths start to show up in the churches and the templos, and crosses are raised and blessed. And at home, some people might take down bright decorations and leave things more plain or in mourning colors. And for the Cotumbre, Ash Wednesday is the reminder that their vows are active. And the fariseos and the chapayecas begin to prepare their regalia. So masks are being carved and painted, rattle belts are being sewn, swords and daggers are being made, and lances for the pilates are finished. And the caballeros, who act as guards, also get ready, and the maestro starts to review their alabanzas, which is a book of songs and prayers. And the altarwomen begin planting flowers and cloths as well as clothing for the holy figures. And Ash Wednesday is the first step. So from this point on, the road of Waejma is in front of us. And then after Ash Wednesday, the story of Waejma starts to build week by week, especially on Fridays for the 6 Kontis. Each Friday, the Cotumbre has duties. They march around the plaza and the way of the cross, and they venerate the Nazarene, which is the image of Christ carrying the cross. The chapayecas begin to appear more often with their masks and their left-handed swords and their daggers, playing tricks and making people laugh, but also representing the enemies of Christ, as well as confusion and sin. And on these Fridays, the cross around the plaza and the stations become more important. People go to the church to venerate and touch their heads to the ground in front of the holy figures and to leave candles and coins and offer their own prayers. And the men under a manda or a vow stand for long hours in the sun as well as at night during the cold and even the heat. And keeping a position with their flag or sword or lance, and the altar women keep the altar supplied with candles and flowers, and the maestros lead rosaries, or as we call them, rosarios, and alabanzas. All this is like a slow tightening of a rope, which is pulling the community closer and closer to a story that will kind of, how would you say, like explode during Holy Week. And not every detail of these Fridays is the same in every pueblo or even every year, but the rhythm is pretty much similar, which the suffering of Jesus and the sorrow of Mary and the weight of the cross are remembered a little more each time through processions and prayers and songs in the physical strain of the work. And then as we get closer to Holy Week, Palm Sunday arrives. This is the day when the church remembers Jesus entering Jerusalem and people greeting him with branches. And in our way, people bring palms or cottonwood branches to be blessed, and the branches represent sewam, which are flowers, as well as life and also weapons of light that will be used against evil later on. And often there is a procession with the figure of the Nazarene. Sometimes he is brought to the fiesta ramada, for a special fiesta, so that the pascualas and the maso and the matachinis can dance in his honor. Now, Palm Sunday does have a double feeling. It is joyful because Christ is welcomed, but it is also tense because we know the story is going to move toward betrayal and death. Still, this day is green and fresh, and the children wave palms, and people are proud to carry blessed branches back home, and you can already start to feel Holy Week coming in the air. So Chiyoko Etesia for watching part one of our three-part Waejma series. In the next video, we'll be going over Semana Santa and stopping at Sábado de Gloria, which then we'll later talk about Easter. So I wish you all many blessings during this Waejma. If you are celebrating, and even if you're not, I wish you many blessings and protection during these hard times. Tua Lios en Chimioco et Tesiabu, in Lios Apo en Chimac. Chukola. Faudra se rappeler